Hello everyone, and today we're back into another top 5, and today we're going to be ranking all of the roamings in Loomian Legacy from worst to best. So we're ranking 14 of them on the list. They're basically the Loomians that are at the bottom of the Loomipedia, and also have stats of 650 across the board. So Loomians like Cosmere and Nevermere will count. Also, Phagenaut will count. We did it on a poll, but pharo and elephage will not count onto this list. So yeah, let's head right into the list. But before we do that, we're going to be giving away a Gamma Wimpor. So if you want to win this Gamma Wimpor, go into the comment section below and say Gamma Wimpor. I will give you a number, and then within a few days, we're going to be spinning a random number generator wheel, and if your number has been picked, you will win this Gamma Wimpor. So yeah, this is actually a really cool prize. I really think this will be a very nice prize for someone. I mean, a Gamma Route Rare. Like, who doesn't want this thing? Come on. Gamma Wimpor is really, really good. So yeah, Gamma Wimpor in the comments below, and you have a chance to win this. Let's head right onto the ranking. So, the worst roam in Loomian Legacy is very interesting because it's actually going to be Dusket. And Dusket actually doesn't even have that much bad going for it. It's quad weak to Spirit, and it's not so much going for it, but it does have a little bit. It has 109 speed, which is nice. It has Raging Flame that can stun melee attackers. Oppress does extra damage when the opposing Loomian has a status condition, which is very nice. And Peace of Mind is a very nice move to increase your range defense. The fact that there's a lot good for Dusket just shows how good the roamings in Loomian Legacy are. That this is the worst and yet is still somewhat good. Also, side note for Dusket, you can actually use this as a hunting Loomian with Harmonize, meaning that this is probably the best hunting Loomian in order to get traits onto other Loomians. So, Dusket does have that going for it. While it's not really good for PvP, it is one of the best Loomians for hunting. And you could even run a melee Dusket with this thing, which actually does pretty well. I mean, melee Dusket has Outbursts, which can hit ancient types, which completely come out of nowhere and can mess up some teams. Like, Dusket has some stuff going for it. While it's not the greatest Loomian in the game, and there's a lot of roamings which are better than this thing could still do some work, and you definitely don't want to underestimate this thing. But yeah, it definitely is the worst roam in Loomian Legacy, which does kind of suck, because I really like Dusket. I think Dusket is a fan-favorite Loomian for a lot of people, so it sucks that it ranks this low. Number 13 on the list is actually going to be Akalos. So, Akalos is really rough in some areas, although let's talk about the positives. It has Ice Hammer, Brawn Boost, and Hydro Slash. It's also an Ice type, which is not weak to fire. Heck, it resists fire, which is awesome. You also can't get burned on Akalos, which is really good. Since this thing is a melee attacker, you cannot stun its melee attack, which is awesome. And after a single Brawn Boost, this thing can hit very, very hard with Ice Hammer. But there are a couple flaws going for it. Its speed tier is just okay. 83 is just meh. And also, Water Stab isn't that good. Hydro Slash just is not the best Water Stab. And also, this thing can't touch Water types. This thing can really not touch Water types. So, it does hurt this a lot. And since it's an Ice Water, it's weak to a bunch of stuff. Like, it's weak to Brawler, it's weak to Poison, it's weak to Electric, it's weak to a lot of typings. And while it does have some solid bulk, it doesn't have anything to really heal itself back. It definitely does some good work as a sweeper with Brawn Boost, but you kind of really only have one attempt to use the Brawn Boost, because after that, after you swap out, your health will be too low in order to really utilize this thing again. And that's why Akalos is ranked this low. Number 12 onto the list is actually going to be Protagon. I think a lot of people are shocked that Protagon is ranked this low, but there's honestly really one reason why this thing is ranked this low. So many Loomians just are ready for Protagon nowadays. There are so many Loomians that just get their range defense one higher than their melee defense to give you a melee attack boost. And if you get a melee attack boost, there is absolutely no reason to use Protagon. You need the range attack boost in order to do extra damage. And there's no doubt about it. If it does get that range attack boost, it can actually sweep and become one of the scariest Loomians in the entire game. But you really need to get that range attack boost, which really hurts Protagon's potential. Despite that, though, it does have good coverage, which does help it out a lot. And while it isn't the best roaming anymore, it is still a very scary sweeper for some certain teams. Although, like I said, there are a lot of Loomians that counter it right now, like Chartiki, Metatoad, Vanillin, Gastrogue, pretty much any plant type can counter, I think, other than Tatub. So yeah, this thing has a lot of counters, and while it can sweep certain teams, it's just not the best to use right now. And that's why Protagon is ranked at number 12, which sucks because this could be considered a top roam, but nope, it's ranked this low. Number 11 onto the list is actually going to be Cosmere Encase. Now, Cosmere Encase has a really big perk. It's bulky. It's a meatball. It's bulky on both sides. Melee and range. And especially after you get a piece of mind, oh my gosh, this thing does not die. There is no such thing as this meatball dying once you get a piece of mind. Like, this thing is amazing. It's living Himber's Yeti Drafts, which says a lot about how tanky Cosmere is. The only reason why it isn't higher than number 11 is because it doesn't really hit that hard. It needs to get like 3 or 4 piece of minds in order to start really dealing some severe damage. The good thing is it is very easy to get it up. It is very easy to deal supreme damage, which is nice, but it really does need the extra piece of minds in order to make it work. Although, Cosmere Encase is very scary, and while it is the worst of the Cosmere forms, that doesn't really say anything because the other Cosmere forms are really OP. This thing is still pretty OP, but just not as OP as the other Cosmere forms. And honestly, that's the only reason it's really ranked this low. The fact that it doesn't even really hit that hard. Other than that, this thing is a really good roam and really just cannot die. With Enchanted Coat, and that's all its bulk, this thing can tank so many hits. I mean, you see a super effective hit from a Zulong do 28 damage, which is just absolutely unheard of in this game. So yeah, Cosmere Encase, being ranked number 11. Number 10 onto the list is actually going to be Nevermere. Now, people might be shocked that Nevermere will be placed this low, but let's talk about the positives from this thing first. Light Air is a very good typing defensively. You are immune to Earth, which is awesome. And it just works very well right now defensively. The problem is how it's used offensively. If you look at his stats, you could think that this could be a top 5 roaming in all of Loomian Legacy if you look at the stats. But the problem is that it's offensive typing, Light Air. They don't really complement each other. Light as an offensive typing tend to play pretty good, but plant types is a severe problem. The air type doesn't really counteract. There's usually a lot of counters for a Nevermere. Not to say that Gastroke is a problem, Sea Drake is a problem, Eliguana is a problem, Venilin's a problem, Terraclaw's a problem. Oh my gosh, I can go all day on the number of Loomians that can counter this thing because of its offensive typing. And while it can hypnotize, put people to sleep, and even recover its own health back, which is nice, it does struggle on hitting certain Loomians, and that's why Nevermere is ranked number 10 and not higher. Despite that, though, this thing does hit pretty hard, despite its weak offensive typing. And the fact that it can heal itself back and peace of mind makes Nevermere a really reliable roam, and that's why it's ranked number 10. Number 9 onto the list will actually be very interesting because it's going to be Phagenaut. Yeah, Phagenaut being ranked number 9 this low. Yes, the best range attacker in all of Loomian Legacy being ranked this low. It's even very bulky on the melee side, so this thing should be very good, right? Once again, just like Nevermere, offensively, this thing does not play that well offensively. If it's overcharged, it doesn't even matter. Electric, it's just not very good offensively, especially when you combine it with light. And yes, I do know that it does get Rant as a coverage move, but the problem is, Rant's a 55 power move. Like, Rant's a 55 power move, and while I can hit plant types, nice, it's not going to really do that much damage, at least compared to other Loomians in the game. This thing does hit hard, though. It has double pivot, has magnify, and hits very hard with overcharge. So this thing does definitely hit very, very hard. This thing is very good. But the reason why it ain't higher is because I think there is another Loomian that does the job better. And it's weird because people consider this next Loomian on the list worse than Phagenaut. But there's one reason why Phagenaut is lower than the number 8 Loomian. So, yeah, let's head to that pretty soon. But keep in mind, Phagenaut is still very good. It's only number 9 because of its typing offensively. Number 8 onto the list is actually going to be Kazune. Now, in the past, I used to complain about Kazune being the worst Loomian, but I really never knew how to use it. This thing is amazing as double pivot. You run specialty boots and run double pivot, and this thing does awesome work. You can actually run a lot of different sets on a Kazune too. Like, you can run Zip Zap Flash and Flee set. You can run Magnify Thunderstrike Energy Surge set. You can run Magnify Jolt set. You can even run a melee Kazune, which is nice as well. There's a lot of different ways you can actually run a Kazune. The reason why this is higher than Phagenaut, it's because it has Fire Breath. Fire Breath is awesome. Fire, electric, and light is better than light, electric, and dark. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Malmerk. But the thing is that Rant does 55 power when Fire Breath is 90 power stab. And also, another minor note, since Kazune is a fire type, it can actually melt icicle traps, which is really good. And while it is quad weak to water and earth, when Phagenaut is only normally weak, this thing does resist a lot of different typings and is a very good defensive typing despite being quad weak to those two typings. And since it hits very hard and has double pivot and priority, puts Kazune a little bit higher than Phagenaut. Number 7 onto the list is actually going to be Wabba. Wabalisk is number 7. And there is one problem I have with this Loomian. I don't have a PvP Wobblisk. I don't have any footage for this. So, unfortunately, I need to go on YouTube and I need to borrow footage from Speeder Sonic. So, sorry, Speeder, I'm stealing your footage, but it's for a worthy cause. But Wobblisk is so good. Ignorant makes it so it is the best in terms of Loomians that set up. It can place barbs, Luster Loot to get health back, Deep Freeze can hit water types, and Driving's Force can Driving's Force other Loomians out. I mean, Wobblisk is so good. And it does hit solidly hard, too, for a tank. You can even run the Secret Ability set, and you can run, which is Hasty, and run like a lot of different coverage moves and make it hit very hard. There's a lot of different sets you can run on Wobblisk again, but using the tanky set with Barbs and Driving's Force is definitely what this thing does best. I mean, it's a Barb setter that can Driving's Force other Loomians out. That's what makes Wobblisk so good. You can even Driving's Force other things that are trying to set up, because since you're ignorant, you're not going to take extra damage from those stat boosts because you have ignorant, which is awesome. Wobblisk is one of the best roams just by its utility alone. Even though it doesn't have reliable recovery, it is still very good. The fact that it can place barbs and has Driving Force puts this at number 7. Number 6 under the list is going to be controversial. Yes, we have an Uber at number 6, Metronet. Now, I can understand why people love Metronet and put it at number 3 and call this an Uber, especially if it's hypnotized. Let's talk about its defensive typing. Dark Mind. Oh my gosh, its defensive typing might be the best in all of Loomian Legacy. It has 2 weaknesses, Bug and Fire. And since Bug is the worst typing offensively, yeah, you don't really have to worry about that too much. And Fire, there's not many Fire types to outspeed you, so it works out in regardless. You even have very good moves like Flabbergast and Dark Surge and Hypnotize and Peace of Mind. But this thing suffers from 4-move syndrome. You have to run all the 5 moves, but you're always going to have to drop one of those moves. You either drop Hypnotize or Flabbergast. But if you drop Hypnotize, you can't hit any of the toxic types, and you can't hit any of the bug types. But if you drop Hypnotize, you're not going to get free Peace of Minds in order to sweep. While this thing is definitely very deadly, it doesn't hit hard enough without a Peace of Mind. It needs the Peace of Minds in order to hit hard enough. So that's why Metronet is not in the top 5. It needs multiple Peace of Minds in order to really start sweeping. And that's why Metronet is ranked this low. It's still a very good Loomian, though, and I can understand why people call it an Uber, and I can understand why it's OP. But it's only ranked number 6 for me. Number 5 on the list is actually going to be Nevermere. Yep, Nevermere is awesome. I love Nevermere because it's a plant spirit type. And the thing I really like about this defensive typing is that a lot of the plant type's weaknesses are kind of nullified. You're not weak to toxic, and you're also not weak to dark. Yes, it's a plant type that's not weak to dark. Has awesome coverage. I mean, it has plant, spirit, and ancient coverage, which is awesome. You can run bulk up. You have an ability that increases your chance of critical hitting. You also are immune to light. You are a spirit type that's immune to light. And while this thing does have some very bad weaknesses, like being weak to icicle traps and being weak to fire and being weak to spirit, this has so many good defensive capabilities already that makes this really good. And since it has 111 speed, it outspeeds a lot of threats. This is a somewhat bulky Loomian that hits very hard and has setup that is this fast. This Loomian is a miracle to even be on the field. This Loomian definitely deserves to be in the top 5, and it's definitely a top 5 roam for a lot of different reasons. That's why Nevermere is ranked this high, and even though it cannot hit hard enough sometimes, a couple bulk ups will remedy that problem, and that's why Nevermere is in the top 5 over Metronet. So yeah, number 4 into the list is actually going to be odd because it's going to be Cosmere Unleashed. Yeah, Cosmere Unleashed is amazing because of the Surrogate ability. This can take so many good abilities. Ace Cosmere, Total Eclipse Cosmere, Rev Up, Boast, Awakening. There are so many good abilities you can take. Slick Shell, Mysterious Cloak, and let's not even talk about Appetite Cosmere. Appetite Cosmere is the most OP Loomian in the entire game. Honestly, Appetite Cosmere might put this thing at number 1 all by itself. But you gotta keep in mind of the Loomian itself, not what abilities it can take. This thing is very good bulk. This thing can hit very hard, has setup, and can even heal itself back with Slumber. It can even hypnotize, has solid coverage, and even though it can't hit metal types, it really doesn't matter in the long run. Plus, you could take the Wise ability from a Wind Trick, so that could remedy that problem too. Cosmere Unleashed just has so much going for it, and that's why it's in the top 5. It's a great partner with other Loomians, and it has so much going for it all by itself as well, and that's why Cosmere is ranked in the top 4. And yeah, although there is another Cosmere form which is ranked higher. Number 3 onto the list is actually going to be close because it's going to be Cephalops. Oh my gosh, this thing is really OP. Soul Drain. Is there in Bloodsucker ability? There's not really much to be said about Cephalops. All it is like one of the bulkiest Loomians in the game. And one of the hardest hitters too. Soul Drain and Bloodsucker. Oh my gosh, this thing hits so hard. You can take out a lot of the roamings actually in the game with Cephalops, which is actually kind of crazy. You can actually hit a lot of the roamings super effectively, which is insane. Cephalops can heal health back, has ice coverage, has icicle traps, has hypnotize, it can even barter heavy shackles. Yeah, this thing has a lot going for it. There's a reason why people call this an Uber, and even Note Eclipse exists. Even Note Eclipse exists, it really doesn't matter in the long run. You can still hit it with Tsunami, and icicle traps and barter heavy shackles can still deal with Eclipse, or at least scar it. Cephalops is definitely one of the best roams in all of Loomian Legacy. And even though it doesn't have a reliable healing other than Soul Drain or any setup, this thing still hits very hard and can heal its health back, which that's why Cephalops is banned in tournaments. So yeah, that's why Cephalops is ranked in the top 3. Let's head right into the top 2. Number 2 onto the list is actually going to be Cosmere Cracked. Yes, the Cracked edition is above the Unleashed, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. One, has a pretty good range attack. Enchanted Coat makes it so it's tanky. And it's kind of the best of both worlds. It's the middle form of the Encased Cosmere and the Unleashed Cosmere, meaning that it's bulky on both sides, and it hits hard. And honestly, Cosmere being a range attacker makes it better than on the melee side, because one, it can hit a lot of the range tanks in the game. Like, it can hit Venolin, which is nice. It can also hit Terraclaw pretty hard, too, if you get a couple Peace of Minds. The only range tank I could see not hitting is, I guess, Gasstroke, but even then, this thing still hits super duper hard, especially after Peace of Mind. It can slumber and recover health back. It can actually hypnotize. There's a lot going for this thing. This thing is so bulky on both sides and hits so hard. I'm honestly kind of shocked that this Loomian is not an Uber. I'm also kind of shocked that this thing is not... I'm kind of shocked that how this thing got past the drawing board. This thing is really OP. There's so much that goes for it. The only reason it's not number 1 is because we all know who number 1 is. Number 1 is the definition of broken. when Cosmere is the definition of overpowered. That's why it's number 2. And the best roam in all of Loomian Legacy is Mutagon. Yes, this thing is going to get nerfed soon. And for good reasons. This thing hits hard. Brawn boost, quick punch, you win. And not only that, you could even run Rageful Plushie, and you hit even harder. Especially on a tank Mutagon. You can run Rageful Plushie on a tank Mutagon and do some amazing work with it. You can even use it on a secret ability one because its melee defense is so high, it can pretty much live any super effective hit on the melee side. I think it can even live a Vesperatu Phantom Slash. At least the tank version can. I'm not sure if the SA one can, though, but yeah, that's besides the point. This thing hits very hard, has priority, setup, mine coverage, ice coverage. Oh my gosh, this thing does so much well. This Loomian is deserved to get banned in tournaments. And also, I think even after the nerfs, this thing will still be broken and overpowered. It's very hard to nerf this kind of Loomian unless you get rid of Quick Punch. And that's why Mutagon is the best roam in all of Loomian Legacy. And here it is, Mutagon, the best roam in all of Loomian Legacy. I hope you guys enjoyed this list of me ranking all of the roamings in Loomian Legacy. It is sad that I wasn't able to add Ferroglyph or Elephage onto the list, but you know, it happens. Maybe I'll rank those 2 in another day. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video of me ranking all of the roamings in all of Loomian Legacy, and I'll see y'all all later. Bye-bye!